Struggling to discuss sex and intimacy with your partner?
Not feeling met, seen, or heard in your relationships?
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Andrea. We're two midlife mavericks sharing our own experiences.
Messy AF and no regrets.
With marriage, divorce, polyamory, and pleasure.
We've learned that when you're brave enough to figure out what you want and ask for it,
with partners, friends, family, and most importantly, yourself,
you'll feel more alive and free.
Question everything, especially your mother's advice.
There's no rom-com formula for this, but don't panic.
Being alone matters. Honey, I can't miss you if you don't leave.
What if your breakup could be your breakthrough?
Our podcast is for brave hearts.
Anyone who seeks or has found the courage to confront their fears and limiting beliefs about breaking societal norms in the spirit of finding their truth.
If you're seeking permission to be brave in your relationships
and want to feel less alone along the way, we got you.
I really feel like there was a lot of mic drop moments as we interviewed Adam and Emily today, because they're basically saying that the relationship drives their growth and they are living a very geographically inventive life, but spending time together. And I loved how they talked about how they're not going to bail when it gets hard. Mm-hmm. Like that they're constantly excavating.
And the reason they're not going to bail is because they have figured out that on the other side of the fire and the excavation lives freedom and orgasms.
That's all we need. Freedom and orgasms. Okay?
That's enough to listen, Bravehearts. That's all you need to know.
Yep. Another new relationship format coming your way.
Hi, Bravehearts. Welcome to Permission to Be Human. I'm Janelle.
And I'm Andrea.
And we are so excited because for our latest episode of our season 6, How to Design a Relationship That Works, we are interviewing two of my dear, dear friends, Adam and Emily, who are going to share with us their beautiful and unconventional relationship. Welcome to the two of you.
Thanks for having us. It's great to be here. It's great to be with you too.
So good to see you, Adam, and so great to meet you, Emily, for the first time. Yay. So Adam, who's 54, and Emily, who's 51, have been together for 1 year. Both have been divorced once before, and both have experience in open relating, polyamory, and monogamy. They currently call their relationship format monogamous with a dominant submissive flavor, and they play with others. Adam and Emily split their time between Denver, Colorado, and Sebastopol, California. Adam is a dom and a real estate agent. He loves mountain biking, skiing, backpacking, travel, and living a minimalistic life. Emily is an architect, and she loves her community, loves adventure, likes to golf, go horseback riding, host dinner parties, and she also likes art. She loves to explore her unknowns, which for her means moving towards fear. Together, they love to explore the erotic and dominant and submissive field.
And one thing else I want to add is that Emily is also a writer. And she is, we're looking forward to seeing her writing out in the world sometime soon. Just to start, what did you learn about relationships? Because my guess is you did not learn the relationship format that you guys are living today.
We were thinking about this question last night. And I had two very loving parents and a very kind of supportive, healthy, masculine father. My mother was, very embracing and supportive of being yourself and all of that entails. However, I learned one incredibly bad habit, which was a kind of no conflict is good conflict, and a keep peace at all cost, and don't sweat the small stuff. A lot about that you want, the river to remain calm at all. That is the goal. And I was raised like that, which is not bad for a kid per se, but definitely when you come into a relationship, it doesn't work that way. And so I had a really healthy relationship with you. It doesn't work like that. I had to unlearn that.
So what I learned about relationships was from early on was it wasn't really it wasn't I didn't have a good model, I don't think. And if I looked at my dad and talked about his relationship with my dad was married to my mom. They got divorced when I was 6, and then he got remarried until I was out of college until my early 30s. And what I learned in watching my dad specifically was that it was this constant trying to serve his partner, my mom originally, and then my stepmom. And it was not harmonious. It was very acrimonious and not acrimonious, but actually it was very painful for him because he was always coming up short. And I could see him constantly coming up short and his idea of what it meant to serve his partner was off balance. And so I kind of learned this, like relationships are hard. It's struggle. It's a lot of and it's upsetting too. I didn't have a good loving foundation of relationship when we got started, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And so now here
when I
you
got
are.
started as an adult. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So here you are now in your 50s in a relationship that is evolving. What did you discover that you had to unlearn to get to this particular relationship?
I think the primary thing that I'm up against in terms of my own self in relationship with Emily is that there is sort of an automatic, I think to a certain extent I absorbed some of my dad's behavior as a in my relationship life of this like this anxiety to take care of my partner. It's like an anxiety to make sure everything is okay. And then there is if it's like trying so hard that it creates upset sometimes. And so what I had to really unlearn and what I continue to unlearn is the control of trying to make sure everything is okay with her and 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 allowing her to have her experience more without it being my responsibility entirely. I mean, there's things that I could take influence, but this is gets to have her whole world as well.
Do you want to talk about the happy wife, happy life, self-sacrificing sort of
Sure.
conundrum?
Yeah, I have railed against this idea of happy wife, happy life, and it's interesting because um, we kind of identified yesterday in a conversation that for me the whole idea of happy wife, happy life was like this complete self-sacrifice and self-sacrifice to my own detriment, not sacrifice in service, not in a holistic sacrifice kind of way, but in a depleting sacrifice kind of way. And so that has been an evolution, and we just uncovered this actually in conversation yesterday, that idea of having happy I was saying that happy wife, happy life didn't pertain, and it uh, wasn't an effective idea for me. But really, that's not true because making sure that Emily's taken care of and served is my joy, as long as it's not to the depletion of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is I guess that's a new unlearning, learning for me is how am I in service without it draining my battery to the point that I'm resentful or yeah, really resentful is the right word.
Yeah. Beautiful. We've talked a lot on our podcast about that, right? The boundaries and like putting ourselves first is actually in service to the whole,
Mm-hmm.
because then we can be offering from a full cup
That's
idea.
right.
Yeah.
it's an interesting balance there. It's a harmonious balance of when I am making sure she's taken care of, and then it's a circle. I make sure she's taken care of, and then she pours her love back into me, and we just go around and around in that way. And that's part of that, also part of that DS dynamic as well. So
Because you were so far one way in the pendulum of self-sacrifice, must take care of my wife, I'm curious about your challenges as you went the other way and in that journey. What did that look like? And how did you come back to center?
Um, truthfully, I still very much feel it come up when there's like a wave of compulsion for me of trying to serve, and I really, it's like I have to, I'm trying to pay attention to my whole inner field so much more carefully than I used to, where I would have
Mm.
energetic, like an energetic geyser go off inside of me of like compulsion to take care of a situation in my original marriage, or that was upsetting for me. I didn't notice it. All I had was the experience of that energy just gushing out of me, of really trying to serve and then feeling frustrated because I wasn't doing a good job. And now what's happening, the difference is now that I'm like, oh wow, watch this. Here comes a bunch of energy. Like I can feel it now, and I'm paying attention to it
Mhm.
now. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, well, what if I hold it now and don't let it just burst out because I'm upset because I didn't do a good job? I hope I'm making sense with that. But that's what's
Mhm.
happening for
Thank
me,
you.
right? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Ah, beautiful. And then Emily, I know you spoke to um like the unlearning had to do around conflicts and communication.
Yeah. I remember this moment when we just first started dating, and Adam said, your job is to just really pay attention to how you're feeling and to then express the upsets and get really tuned into the places where something doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit with you. And I thought to myself, like, I don't even know if I can, okay, but I don't even know if I can do that. Like, I'm not looking
Mhm.
for those things. I'm not even, and what I was taught that when they come up, to basically, that's that's for you to sort out yourself. Like that, even in relationship, you take whatever's upsetting and you go like, well, that's just wholly on me, and I need to deal with
Mm.
whatever the thing is.
Mhm.
Um, what's developed instead is now, you know, I may not know the real like root and the cause, but something goes amiss and I'll be like, like say there's a little moment and I'm now learning to go like, oh, like maybe I don't even have the words like ouch, but can
Mhm.
kind of
Mm. Yeah.
get closer to the thing and the emotional expression. And that's taken a very long time to get that, to feel that that can be felt and then expressed and condense the time between the moments. So a lot of the
Mm.
learning this year there's been many times where something will happen and then a day later or so, I will return to it. And now it's getting shorter and shorter
Mhm.
so that there can
Mhm.
be a cleaner kind of flow
Yeah.
and in those ripples.
You say that your relationship has like a DS flavor to it. I don't know if you would describe it differently than that. And but at the root of it, a question that I have is like, what's an essential agreement that the two of you have that might seem strange to brave hearts who are listening, but that works for you?
Can I talk about the DS flavor just to give a little bit more
Please.
Great.
context for me, is having started this relationship knowing nothing about what any of that mean. I'm pretty sure when we sat together and you told me that you were a Dom, my reaction was like, oh, well, I'm an Aries. Like, it was like,
I love
it
it.
was like, great for you. I'm so happy for you. Like, no understanding whatsoever. And then kind of more of this, like, oh, what DS also means for me is like this very much holistic, easeful, feminine cocoon, say. And when I think of it in those words, because there is something about sub that can feel like I want to fight against it a little bit, but there's not much about an easeful feminine cocoon of flowing just comfort and security. There's not much I want to kind of fight about that.
That's
The
beautiful
second part of your
permission.
question, it goes back to those upset things. We don't let any crud build up. We've got very clean circuits working here. And it can be really little, and it can be not so little. We're excavating down to make sure that nothing builds up in that negative place.
Yeah, I would just add to that this idea of keeping it clean at the bottom, it's just natural in relationship, I think, that residue starts building up. Something that got said, there was a word that you used when we fought that was nasty that I just hated. There's something that you said at some point and it stuck to me, and now it influences how I'm responding into you. And and if we don't go back and really clean those things out and be very curious about anything, any kind of energetic pieces, that debris from fights or what have you that has happened, if we're not careful, those things add up and then there's a layer. So I think that, yeah, that's a big, important part of our relationship that we really work on. So I think
Mm-hmm.
there
Something that you
was
mentioned.
there was one,
Something.
what did we talk about yesterday? Talked about yesterday something unique about our relationship.
Oh, I don't know if this is what you're referring to necessarily, but I I firmly believe that too that the DS component enables Adam has from the moment he's like showed up to this relationship in a very um secure, confident, masculine sort of knowing, so I am never left like questioning how he feels about me, his knowing of us. So that just then I wasn't ever in that position of that we hear so many of our friends talking like, oh gosh, am I too much? Have I like pushing this guy too quickly? Does he really want to be in a relationship with me? If you can imagine,
Yes.
none of that was ever present. So we started off.
Yay.
Yeah.
So amazing, isn't
Mhm.
it? It's like, oh, it can be this way. Like without all of those questions and those like, I'm not sure. And like,
All the game
yeah.
playing maybe, or like, oh, do I say this? Don't I say this? When do I say this? How do I say it? I don't think our approach was, at least from my perspective, my approach was always like, we say everything and we get it out and we talk about it. And because I want to be here. So you don't have to question whether or not I want to be here. I choose to be here and we're moving forward. And so it's a fuck yes until there's a problem.
One of my very critical things that I had to unlearn in previous relationships was I had this story that said, if I say things exactly right, in the perfect tone, at the right moment, when someone else is ready to receive it, that then I could be understood. Like it's always like, then I will be known. And now in this relationship, all of that has gone away. It's basically like, you show up, you say what you need to say. The other, I take it like as one of the great gifts that we share. The other person is wanting to know me versus my ability or inability to put it out there in the perfectly wrapped present of like, the way it could be ingested. That's not on me anymore. That is like something that the relationship can handle.
What came up for me is like the relationship can metabolize it, right? If there's any sharp edges to however you phrase something, then the relationship is like, thank you. I want your words no matter what phrase or tone they're in.
That's right.
It sounds like it's a safe space, right? It's
right. It doesn't have to be packaged. Your thoughts and feelings don't have to be packaged exactly right in order to be able to be heard. It can be messy, and we'll work our way through it.
Does it feel relevant for me to share what your manifesto is, and maybe you guys explain what your manifesto is?
Sure. Absolutely.
All right, I'll read the first paragraph and then you can tell us.
Okay.
The first point of this document states, we agree to always have the hard conversations with one another. This entails noticing the sensations in our bodies that are closed off or constricting in any way. We may not know why feelings have arisen, but regardless, we will talk about it with an open heart and curiosity. Although we may need to wait to have a conversation due to circumstances or an awareness that one of us is feeling triggered, we will always endeavor to talk with each other as soon as possible. We allow for grace in these conversations. They will be approached with vulnerability and tenderness, and the grace to know that we are learning through the process and no one is perfect. And that's written down. You guys have that written down. So if one of you forgets, you can refer to it, right? I mean, like that feels so like it's like a deep exhale in my system. Like it's a really solid foundation to be standing on.
I feel like in a way we've been talking to that first point in our manifesto for the first few minutes here together. And I love how it's written. I love that it is somewhat aspirational because I can tell you 100% we don't live up to that at times at all. So but you can go back and go like, okay, we may have fallen short of this, but this is what we are looking for. This is our goal. This is our star, our North Star that we're wanting to head towards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just add that on that exact note, when we have had, we just went through a challenging couple of weeks recently, and I found myself pulling out the manifesto and reading every line of it time and again as a reminder, and really calling me to be the man I want to be too inside of that. And so the manifesto for us, I think, has been such it's like take my attention off of Emily and off of my feelings and my upset or my frustration and put my attention on where we're going. And that has been very powerful to open up more space where then I can hear her, where then I can drop my fight and have space to allow her to step in and to be seen, and I can see her with what it is where she's coming from. So it's that tool has been so powerful for us, so powerful.
You kind of spoke to this, but I'd love a little bit more of then how this relationship is inspiring each of your own personal growth.
I think, that's a great question because I was remembering one of the points in the manifesto around our sovereign journeys. And, that is absolutely something that I see true. And I see this, this DS as the two of us holding these polarities of this masculine and feminine energy. And it's kind of then like the relationship covers and holds us together in that energetic polarity, that dance, that, and in some ways we are moving energetically the masculine and feminine further apart, but it always stays balanced through this tie together of the relationship. So it is, as I feel myself sinking deeper into my submission, I witness Adam moving into this more powerful realm. Like I can watch it happening. And that's this real beauty of our meeting each other and balancing each other in our own place, in our own bodies, in our own energy.
Emily, I would love for from your perspective to get some really concrete ideas and examples of how this DS plays out on a typical day.
And I'm just going to interject for a moment. Andrew's asking for a friend.
It's actually both are true, right? Like I'm asking for the Bravehearts. I'm asking for me. I'm new to this DS dynamic, which I'm also exploring, which feels really awesome to me. And I think this is, I'm glad you stopped me, Janelle, because this is, I feel like, what I have asked you so many times. I'm like, okay, what does this look like? Okay, tell me the example. I want an everyday fucking example. Like, I get it now, but I feel like it has taken a while to really like bake in what it's about and what that looks like because of the cultural conditioning around dominance and submission in our society. There's just an instant picture of the bedroom with whips and chains, and that's how it is. And I've learned so much about this contrary to that. So this is part of why I'm constantly drilling down as well.
Yeah. And, I think the way it lives in for me is there are two very different ways that I've struggled with and I'm trying to, bring into harmony when we are together versus me out there in the world on my own. These are, there is something required of us women to interact in this world that is not always in the submissive sort of realm, right? And yet there is this, to just go fully over onto the other side doesn't kind of feel aligned and easeful. That's like putting on a costume that doesn't quite fit. I just am getting much more easeful and comfortable around allowing and receiving all of the niceties that we were maybe told just are outdated. I love having the door open for me getting into the car. And I thank my daddy when he does that for me. He wants to do it. I let myself enjoy it being done for me instead of thinking it against some sort of like, you're like, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to let that be done for you. You're not, or just like letting go. And in that letting go of letting go of what someone's telling me I should or shouldn't let happen, I get to then just think, oh, this feels good. I can just let this happen. There's nothing, I don't have very little judging around myself. Adam does all the driving when we're together. He drives all the time. So here's like an example of like, then when I'm on my own, I'm like, okay, driving time. Like you have to kind of go like, all right, let's drive, where if you're in for days of like togetherness, you let that go. You're not driving, you're just getting in the car and the door's open for you and you get to sit there and look out the side window and
How funny, because this recently I'm just like, I never drive around anymore myself. My boyfriend's always driving. It's really nice. I'm so used to it. But I don't use my car as much. It is a little bit of an adjustment, right? But I love it. Right. And so I thank you so much for that example, Emily.
Mm-hmm. And Adam, do you want to go back to how this relationship has impacted your personal growth?
It is interesting. I have wanted to be in I've wanted a powerful partnership, and and one of the reasons why I've wanted it, and I've gotten a lot of affirmation out in the world to this same thought, but it's really from my own experiences that, what this gives me is if I'm by myself and I'm not if I'm just in a dating life scenario, there isn't the opportunity to do my work inside of a relationship because it's always skipping across the tops of the waves. What I notice is that people, and even myself, when it wasn't quite right when I was dating, would pull back and exit because it starts to get hard. And what I notice is relationship is it's a medium for me to do my inner work. It is a place where I get to go do the hardest things. And the reason why is because they get driven up inside of relationship. And if I'm not in a relationship, those things never come to the surface. They don't get revealed because I'm never in a triggered state like that, just talking about the weather with whomever. But when I'm in relationship, I find the deepest, darkest corners of myself, and it gives me the space and the ability to do my own work. And so, and I really do believe that that's one of the foundations of what a real relationship is. It's like a spiritual journey of self-development, and if we choose to show up in a curious way, if we're curious about ourselves, if etc. So although it's so difficult at times, but it's so difficult because really I'm just finding myself there and those difficult parts of me that I'm really committed to letting go or transforming. So for me, the whole relationship is all growth and personal.
I would add to that it is at times so hard and so painful to look in at ourselves and like take ownership of what's happening, that I would surmise that that is the place where many people say, fuck this shit. I don't want to do this. This is like not even worth it. And there are times when we are down in the depths of our argument where we're looking at each other and it is hard. And it feels hard and it feels like heart hard. And I could imagine like, and then we that get through thing and like the ownership of what's happening for ourselves takes a lot of like staying in the fire and the curiosity of what is getting uncovered within yourself to move through that and not want to just go like, this is just, I didn't sign up to get this close with someone. I didn't sign up to be this known. Oh, I want to be known, but like, don't look over there.
Yeah. Thank you for acknowledging that. I think for brave hearts and for everyone, it's like, because it does get fucking hard and it gets really uncomfortable, right? And you have to sit in that discomfort.
Yeah. But it gets it's like it's the kind of uncomfortable. It's like getting into water that's so hot or so cold. You're like, I have to get out of here right now. It's like a survival thing. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we have that same, when we fight, it gets so nasty. Sometimes it's like, it's almost like survival. And it's not, I shouldn't say so nasty. It's not, we actually fight really well, but there are, and I give you a lot of credit for this because what Emily does is, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but she can hold the she doesn't respond, she doesn't react as quickly as I do. And that little breath, that little gap, that little thing that she can do allows us to slow down. It allows me to slow down. It allows me to see myself. It allows me to hear how my tone of my voice. And then I'm like, oh yeah, whoa, 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 whoa. So I guess, yeah, what I want to say is that it feels like life or death when it's not going well. It feels really strong. Um, but then we work through it always.
And I want to, so like, that's a beautiful acknowledgement of like the depth of the fire. And I would love for you to speak to then, since you're willing to go there, what lives on the other side of that fire?
I mean, a lot of really good orgasms.
I knew you were going to say that. That's what I was like.
You did.
I'm feeding this. I want this part too. Love it. Love it. Nice.
Those
I
count.
mean, that goes back to that polarity. If you're willing to like make it through the intensity, it only then grows the pleasure too. Like there is a correlation. If you want to live safe and simple and keep it kind of low key, then you can expect your pleasure to be kind of corresponding in that. And then this emotional, the emotional kind of dredging, the hard stuff, then lends to this spiritual, emotional connectivity on the other end too, balancing it out.
Beautiful.
Go
Beautiful.
back to ask the question one more time for me, if you would, please.
Since you're willing to go down, excavate, and be in the fire, what then exists on the other side of the fire?
It's not good news. It's
not orgasms for you?
No, it's usually
It's hard.
what it usually comes back to for me is just this clarity of like, oh yeah, I did this. Like what's the power is like coming to the other side of this, what seems like her fault, clearly. So, I mean, her behavior and whatever, and then about how I'm feeling in response to like her behavior. And what ends up happening on the other side that makes it worth it is this huge realization that, oh, wow. Oh, how did I create this upset? All of a sudden, when I take full responsibility for like, oh, I see what happened. I got triggered by something and then I said this, or my little, hurt little boy inside got defensive about this or something. All of a sudden it's like, oh yeah. And then my body can relax. And then I can get back into a space of freedom and creation. And that is what's on the other side of every one of these big upsets. Honestly, it's some awareness of what I did, or even if it was mostly her, there's still this part that wants to punish her or wants to like be right about it. And when I release that, then there's freedom. What's on the other side is freedom. On the other side of these really difficult arguments, it's freedom.
Wow.
Okay, Bravehearts. So what
So
we've
good.
got are
So good.
orgasms and freedom. This is why it's worth staying in the fire. You kind of can't get better than that.
Yeah. And Adam, I feel like there was a full circle there because in the beginning you talked about the responsibility your dad had to like do things well and please your mom and like so hard. And responsibility does not have to be like that, right?
Yeah. In fact, I would say I would take it even one step further, Andrea, and say that responsibility is the freedom. When I am responsible, when I do take on the commitment, when I'm learning more and more in this life that being free is actually through commitment and being accountable and responsible. It's not from running away from things. It's going into them and taking them on. That's when I am so free because then now I'm like, I know what I've got to do and I know the mountain to climb. And that gives me so much freedom of my energy and excitement and focus.
Okay, this has been so rich but we've been talking about the emotional pieces of the relationship. And what I would love for you guys to talk to is the unconventional living arrangement you have come up with for this moment in time.
So one of the things we did that was very helpful for us when we started dating a year ago and like flying back and forth and all of a sudden, people are asking us, oh, what are you guys going to do? Like we're asking ourselves, what are we going to do about this distance? I'm in California and Adam's in Colorado. And we're like, okay, we could focus a lot on this question, or we can say that by the time the winter solstice, December 21st, comes around, at that point we will have an answer. So we just like punted that one way down, gave ourselves a lot of space to just not worry about it for the time being. Like, oh, we're going to get there, but we're not going to hammer this out right now because no easy solution is presenting itself.
And what was our criteria?
Fuck yes. Always these hard decisions come with a fuck yes. Meaning that we don't want to like push into something that just like there's too much resistance. Like if it's just not feeling, and it wasn't, it was tough. Like we both have these full lives with community, with homes, with children, with grandparents, the whole thing in these two separate locations. So we punted, and then as we got closer to like the year, started feeling like, okay, one, I was then in a place to say, you know what, how about I come out to Denver 2 weeks every month? So that started developing. And then we also leaned into this idea of both an and versus either or, because we want to, for us both, let me just speak for myself. For me, my community and you mentioned that in the bio, it's so important. I adore my friends and my family, and like, so, and it's hard fought, and I pay close attention, and I am the type of person that wants to show up for people. And so, and although I know you can build new community, to give one up didn't feel right. So we're kind of thinking about these two places as we have both of these communities, both of these homes, as opposed to having to choose.
So one of the most amazing, we have a series of big learnings that have happened in our, they're added into our manifesto, and also just this idea of the way that we're doing things is we set a time frame. We'll say, okay, we're going to have this decision. We're going to figure out how to do this by the 21st of December. Now, the answer is it has to be a fuck yes for both of us. And we're not going to push it. It will reveal itself in time, and we'll keep exploring it in conversation. We'll have conversations, but there were a couple of conversations where all of a sudden things got kind of tight, where Emily said, well, we'll this will be our solution. We'll start looking for a third home, or, like this idea. And I found myself getting tight about it. And I'm bringing this up because we immediately said, wait a second, we're off track. It has to be a fuck yes. That's the key. And we don't have to get a solution today. This was like halfway through that period of time. So this new system that we have to work through challenging problems is we set a timeline with the parameters of what does the solution need to look and feel like. And then we don't push it. We just allow it to iterate and unfold in conversation. And if it doesn't feel aligned, we just let it go. And then we start over again. And so that is one of the tools that we've used to be living apart and solving challenging problems.
Where did you guys land as far as here's two places, community in both, family in both, homes in both, children in both? What is the solution you're going to experiment with for the next period of time?
We're spending 2 weeks together in Denver. Mm-hmm. And then we're spending a week in California together. And then I come home. So I'm basically spending 1 week a month in California and 3 weeks a month in Denver. Emily is spending 2 weeks with me in Denver and then 2 weeks in California. So what that means is we just have 1 week where we're not together per month. That's our solution. That's the answer.
Great. Thank you for summarizing that.
Great.
And then, Emily, what you were saying is recognizing that in your experience so far, that time apart, so in this, like you're baking in a 1 week time apart that has the potential to be quite challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. It's such good work.
It's such good work. It because of where I come from, I just want to like float through the I want to coast along in the oh, the good feeling is here and let's just coast on this week.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not what happens generally. And that's okay. And there's a lot, we get all this great, great difficult growth from getting through that hard stuff apart. The miscommunication, the getting better at communicating. It's, we rely so much when we're together on just, being together. You don't have to always be talking. And then when you're apart, you have to actually say the thing that you can't feel into somebody when they're not there. You have to use your words.
Great. Great communication.
It's a huge growth space for us, not being together and staying equally as connected. When we're together, we just know where we are at, and it's so easy. When we are not together, lots of other bad habits can come up, and it gives us access to work on those old behaviors, etc. So it's a huge fertile ground that is fucking hard sometimes.
I'm also hearing that you're giving yourself each a week, a month without each other. And I'm really curious, to see what comes of that, not in your relationship, but for your own personal growth on your own, being alone, doing different things, not doing things together, which I love the spaciousness of that.
It wasn't intended. It's just the reality that what Emily needs and what I need. And we have these two different homes. So it's just built into the cake. It's the way it works.
And you said this two different homes, but really what in another conversation I had with Emily was it's about two different communities, right? There was people she didn't want to let go of after having worked so hard for, to have these deep relationships, to say, oh, now my relationship with Adam is the one that takes over everything else and everyone else has to go away.
Yeah.
And that she really stood, part of your fuck yes was standing for that community.
And not losing yourself in the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I have been in a position before in my marriage where I picked up and moved to a place because it was required for job and whatnot. A place that from the minute I put my foot down, I was counting down the days until I could get out of there. Sorry, Los Angeles, you're not for me. But so in that sort of fuck yes, will there maybe be a point where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm picking up, I'm ready to move to Denver. Let's go, or vice versa. But, a little, a bit of that, hard won community where you have, your people and your yoga place and all that stuff. It just takes time. And we're not 20 anymore. It's a different coming into this relationship feels very, very different for a ton of reasons. But one of them is you understand more of what are the things that you need for your own self to be happy.
So Bravehearts, if you are curious about anything that Adam and Emily have shared and just would love to have a conversation, then reach out to us and we will get you in touch. And just bowing down as I do to the two of you with such deep gratitude for sharing vulnerably and authentically about this journey that you're on. And I just love witnessing it. And I love that we get to share your journey with our Bravehearts. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adam. It's great to see your journey. And Emily, it's so great to meet you because I've heard so much about you.
Likewise.
I really appreciate you sharing and with so much vulnerability and honesty.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. All right. So Bravehearts, thanks so much. And have a great listen.
We love you. See you next time.
Hey Bravehearts, looking for permission? Work with us. We offer Braveheart coaching. Follow us on Instagram. Meet us in real life at a Braveheart conversation. subscribe to our newsletter.
Do all this and more at our website, permissiontobehuman.live.